A feminist keyframe animator has been fired from a Korean company that, among other things, created the preview videos for Blue Archive after it became known that the employee, the feminist in question, had been sneaking in feminist power hand signs into the promotional videos. Now, at first, hearing this, I wondered if this was serious, or if this was the opposite ends version of the OK sign being a white power symbol or something, but upon closer inspection, it actually seems to check out. Okie dokie then. So the promotional videos that people started looking through frame by frame does indeed appear to have a little symbol worked into it here and there. This symbol might not mean a whole lot to the majority of us, but in Korea, this is actually a relatively famous feminist power symbol, as it comes from what was a Facebook forum group called Megalian, which had this symbol right here. Now, you might recognize this. Apparently, it was designed to mock the Koreans' small penises. Excuse me, that is funny. This feminist group didn't actually last for very long, mind you, as it was founded in 2015-16 or something like that, and it collapsed in 2017-2018. Why, you might ask? Well, you see, whilst the feminists were indeed brought together due to their mutual hatred of men, they swiftly splintered over a very important question. Are all men universally evil and worthy of mockery and abuse? Or are only straight men worthy of abuse and mockery? I'm not even kidding. This is actually what happened, okay? So, one part of the movement wanted to accept gay men in as allies, whilst the other part of the movement simply wanted to mock all men for having small penises. That's a situation and a half right there. Anywho, this was an actual genuine misandrist movement as well. We're not joking here. These aren't just for the memes. They were actually pretty gosh darn virulent and aggressive feminists who became famous in Korea for their, well, rather heightened hatred of men, which led to a great deal of very negative coverage of them, as the feminists in Asia have not had quite so easy a time of it as those over here in the West. The animation studio then issued this statement, and, well, tragically, I don't read slashes and circles and straight lines, but fortunately, somebody was kind enough to translate this thing into Japanese, which I'm far more confident in my ability to actually figure out. Now, for those of you who don't speak moon runes, we have the magic of Google Translate, and from what I can tell, bearing in mind that my understanding of written Japanese in particular is hardly perfect, but it seems more or less accurate. And what I found absolutely just delectable here was down here. So they start about how, this was a keyframe animator who did this. Obviously, the studio checks through all of the animations and so on and so on, but they couldn't check out every frame, and even if they could, they couldn't understand all of the subtleties of the political signaling. Which, okay, fair enough. And they say, also, this is a big mistake on my part, and the directors in not fulfilling my responsibility not only as an individual, but also as an administrator. From now on, we will educate ourselves internally to prevent this from happening again. We will read up on anti-feminist literature to make sure that no more feminist power symbols sneaks their ways into our productions. You gotta educate yourself so this hate speech does not occur again. It actually is the inverse, isn't it? We have actually arrived at the point where the narrative has flipped completely. Now, we are the ones in institutional power, or at the very least, we are heading in that direction, and Asia is already a few steps ahead of us, or more correctly, behind us, really, as they didn't really fall for this nonsense anywhere near as hard as we did, and still, there was an enormous backlash over this from both sides. Both those that were a little bit annoyed that a hand symbol specifically designed to denigrate their penis sizes was in the promotional videos, and also from Feminist in Korea, saying that they were going to quit the company, they were never going to work with them ever again, they were going to boycott them. And that has led the company to both Cheetoing their website and also privating most of their social media as well. So, Studio Ppuri is under quite the bit of fire at the moment from both left and right. Which, incidentally, this is going to be the de facto norm for a while. As I've been saying, companies right now are going to have to figure out how to somehow navigate the current landscape of both sides being pretty close in power, with the left obviously being rescinding and falling, and the right being in ascendance. If they do something like this, it'll be deeply unpopular with the majority of people, who will drag them over the coals. But if they immediately then surrender and denounce their feminist overlords, then they will be incredibly annoyed and drag them over the coals. I do not envy Studio Ppuri's position here, as no matter what they're going to do, they're going to get dicked over for it, though in the long term, this is absolutely the correct decision to make. You've got to pick a side, and they have picked the one that is currently winning. It is as good a strategy as any, and you know what? Here's the thing too. Let's address this idea of this being cancel culture, right? Because, well, it is. In a way, at least. Now, in this case, this person did do something observable. They did elect to force their politics, no matter how subtle, into the work that they were currently working on. They were making a political statement through the people who were paying them's media. Is it okay to fire somebody for not doing their job? Yeah, I would argue so. In fact, I would say that it's pretty much the company's, duty, not only its right, to fire people who weren't doing their jobs. And placing in your personal politics when you're paid to animate things, yeah, that seems to fit the definition. But I also want to say that even if this was a case of the purest cancel culture, if it was merely revealed that this woman was a feminist and had previously partaken of the Megalian forum and was fired merely for that alone, well, as this is the playbook that they wrote. In all due honesty, this is probably the exact thing that Megalian championed back in the day, as that entire thing, as far as I can understand, was to flip the gender narrative, to harass men because men apparently harassed women, as just a common thing over there, supposedly. Now, judging by my Western sensibilities, that sounds like an awful load of crap, because that's exactly what it was in the West, but oh well, details, eh? This was their playbook. This is simply just turnabout and fair play, therefore, of course. I genuinely do believe that even if there is a wave of cancel culture against the left, you know what? They deserve it. They were the ones who instituted this. They created the rules, they argued for it, they championed it, they called it, what's the term again? This is not cancel culture, this is consequence culture. You shat on the bed, now you get to eat it. Simple as that. There is even going to be a necessary period of cancellation of left-wing people. Those who had sided with the left and pushed cancel culture. Those who had aggressively tried to cancel those of the opposite side. These people must necessarily be cancelled and removed in turn because they have already demonstrated that they are not able to live in an equal world. They cannot exist in a situation where the rule is to live and let live. They will cock the gun and try to execute their opposition the moment they can, and we should not accept these people on either side of the political spectrum. Purge them now that the opportunity presents itself, and we won't have to go up against the wall the next time the pendulum swings. Of course, a new crop of unscrupulous people who believe that there is no such thing as bad tactics, only bad targets, will invariably spring up, but that is hardly a reason to be merciful towards those who have already taken off the mask, now is it? So yes, this is a piece of good news, and a piece of exceedingly funny news as well, as this might be one of the earlier cases of reverse cancel culture, of somebody being cancelled specifically for their feminist ideals. Happy day. Until next time, I've been Arch, thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.